Patrick Cook here. Hey, thanks for returning. We're going to continue the development of our Mandelbulb 3D animation. And as we continue to discuss the Mandelbulb 3D software. Now, a couple sessions ago, you'll notice that I had attempted to navigate in our Mandelbulb environment, which I had spent, I don't know, 5 or so minutes in tweaking out the 3 formulas that we're working with. And you'll note that the screen went yellow on me. All right, and then I found that I was in an unstable situation and I had to save and then recover. So in this session, I'm fully recovered, all right, from that instability where I had that error message that popped up. And at that point, I didn't trust anything anymore, but I wanted to save my project so that I didn't lose my work. But what I had done is I had clicked on the navigation button, and this would be the slide right button, and my whole Navigator screen went yellow. Let's see what happens. Now it works, okay. And if you recall, see, that was session 11. That was towards the end of session 11, where I went yellow here, and I pointed out that the zoom had read an INF, infinity. So something went very wrong with the calculation that determines this zoom. Well, and then of course the application went unstable and we got waylaid on that whole topic. Well, let's talk about what this zoom is. It's actually quite powerful. It gets a little weird from time to time, but the calculation is important and saves you an awful lot of effort. Now I'll show you why. Now, okay, the way this works. Now I'm not going to get a whole lot into the Navigator right now. We're going to focus on this zoom calculation. Now, if I move my my camera in and out, let's walk forward. Now, as I walk the camera forward, watch this zoom number change. All right. All right. Click, 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 click. What the Mandelbulb 3D software is doing for me is it is automatically, we'll see how I can describe this here. So here's the Mandelbulb graphic. The object. There's the object. There's my camera. As I walk my camera forward, or toward the graphic, forward is toward the graphic object, the zoom will automatically try to adjust so that I don't actually find my camera inside the graphic really fast. So what it's trying to do is maintain a field of view so that I don't wind up putting the camera into the graphic or making the graphic come into the camera. So this zoom calculation is helping to eliminate or manage or reduce the tendency for the view to clip. All right. So as I walk in forward, watch the zoom number, you see. All right, now I'm getting to a point where the zoom isn't working well for me anymore, and the graphic is starting to basically disappear. All right. All right. So you get to a point where your zoom value is low. All right. Is too high. Okay, we're going up. Too high to work properly. All right. But if I was to do this, where this this automatic zoom saves the day, is if you get so close to the graphic that it will eventually clip. This automatic zoom calculation is trying to eliminate clipping where the camera is inside or too close to the Mandelbulb object, too close, or the Mandelbulb object itself has come in too close to the camera, and then we start clipping off, and you don't see the detail anymore. So this automatic zoom is actually quite helpful in managing or reducing clipping. Now, I can turn this automatic zoom off by opening up this panel right there. All right, now this panel is going to give us the far plane, which we're going to talk about. It's going to give field of view of the camera we'll talk about. But here's a little magic thing right here. If I click on this checkbox, fixed zoom and steps, if I click it on, you'll notice here that I have an up-down control on this zoom. Now I'm going to walk this and watch this zoom number. It will not change from 8.9. You see? So I'm walking in toward the Mandelbulb object now. I'm walking in. The zoom is not automatically changing. So I'm going to get to a point where I've got the camera inside of this Mandelbulb object. Eventually, all right, there we go. Because the Mandelbulb application is not managing the zoom. So I'm eventually, and I'll keep going. Oh, there we go. Now we're seeing this clipping. You see this? You see that dull, matted brown? All right, that's indicating that we're clipping. So the view of the camera is so close that portions of the graphic are actually clipping off. So if I wanted to be in control of that automatic zoom and turn it off, I check this right here, and then it won't calculate for me anymore. Let's try an experiment. Oh, well, no, let's back up a little bit here. I can manage this zoom value by clicking on the down or the up control. All right. Now you see how the graphic seems to be moving away from us. It's moving away. I'm not walking forward or back. What I'm doing is I'm using the zoom to change the field of view so as to give me a wider view. But you notice here I've lost a lot of detail because I'm zoomed out so far. So, but I can zoom in, I can zoom back in, I can really get in there. So here I'm exceeding the capability of the camera here. But here we go. So we're back to this clipping stuff. I'm going to uncheck this fixed zoom and steps. All right, now I'm going to walk. Nothing happened because I don't calculate the automatic zoom until I actually start to move my camera. And the automatic zoom is trying to resume at the value it was when I was in manual control of the, let's see here, 6.89. Okay, let's try that now. If I uncheck that, 6.89, all right, and the automatic zoom is going to try to work from that number, the 6.89. So basically I've thrown the whole equation off by me taking manual control of the zoom, but that's okay. That's what it's there for. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the parameters back in. I'm going to allow this thing to automatically zoom. This is unchecked. All right. And so now the automatic zoom, you'll notice right here, is attempting to do work for us and is attempting to minimize or ideally completely eliminate the clipping. We're not quite there yet, all right? But there's ways that I can deal with this. So in conclusion, the automatic zoom will try to manage the field of view that the camera has to avoid or minimize or eliminate the clipping where the camera is so close to the Mandelbulb animation, the Mandelbulb object, that it clips off the view of it. So by manipulating the zoom and a couple other factors, you can get to a point where you don't have any clipping that's occurring in your graphic. And what's really neat about that is when you animate this thing and you're flying, say you're flying really close to your Mandelbulb object, you don't want a whole bunch of clipping going on there. So if you get this just right, you can actually fly by an object with no clipping at all. So it's a very powerful feature. You can go manual, but it is something that you need to understand what's going on, what it's doing, and probably more importantly, how to take control of it and manipulate it so that your graphic or your animation comes out with no clipping. All right, so that's good for now. Let's get another sip of coffee, and I'll see you in the next session. See you there.